Hi, this is Craig David here on France 24. Gonna take you through a little journey from Born to Do It all the way up to my brand new single, In Your Hands, and all of the good stuff that comes in between that. And thank you for the love. Appreciate you.
From me as I walked through the subway, it must have been about 3:15. In front of me stood a beautiful.
With the France 24 mic, one of the most successful artists in UK chart history gives us a rendition of 7 Days.
No, didn't she mind? I don't think so.
Craig David, hello.
How are you?
I'm so well. I'm so happy to have you here in Paris with us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
This song, along with others on his multi-million selling album Born to Do It, defined an era of UK music and made waves across the globe in the early noughties.
We were gonna do stuff, stop with a bottle of more for tonight. Took her for a drink on Tuesday. We were making love by Wednesday. And on Thursday and Friday and Saturday we chilled on Sunday.
I found out that we have something in common.
Right.
We both love Cadbury's Boosts. And I also read that you used to be a chocolate dealer in the playground.
I did a deal in the chocolate fraternity for a while. You know what? They would call that an entrepreneur now.
It was very entrepreneurial.
Yeah, you had to find ways to then fund buying records and vinyl and hi-fi equipment.
A quarter of a century since he started out, Craig David is on tour, set to release his 9th album, and he's just completed his 7th season residency in Ibiza.
Thought we could start with something fun because I've been a fan of yours for a long time.
Thank you.
Since your groundbreaking album, Born to Do It. So I wanted to ask you some questions based on the songs on that album. So 7 days. If you could relive any 7 days over the past 25 years, which week would you revisit?
Wow. I would go back to the week where I first released Fill Me In.
Fill me in. Let's talk about it.
Like my first solo single, because that week, the anticipation of everything, having already released Rewind with the Artful Dodger, and I had phenomenal success in the UK, and it got released the same week that Destiny's Child had their single Say My Name. Huge Destiny's Child fan, love Say My Name, one of my favorite songs from them. So to have a #1 song in the charts, what a week.
What's something that Craig David has walked away from in the last few years?
Do you know what? I've walked away from sweating the small stuff and making life feel and become serious. There's a lot of things that become sort of patterns that we need to sort of shine light on and say, is this actually serving you really well? And then to walk away from that to, quote unquote, find a better day and realize that actually you can simplify life because it is what it is. Life will present these things, but there is a choice point at which you can, okay, let me take a breath. Let me deal with the most critical thing first. And maybe the other 7 or 8 things, we can park them.
If you could have a rendezvous with any artist, past or present, for a studio session, who would it be?
I would have loved to have experienced being in the studio with Michael Jackson. And I remember a moment at the House of Blues in LA on the 3rd night of having sold out on the other 2 and had some incredible artists come through from Beyonce and Missy Elliott and Jennifer Lopez, wonderful. But there was a moment where Stevie Wonder had come with Quincy Jones and he not only was singing Walking Away in the crowd.
Amazing.
Which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But Quincy came backstage with him and he dropped like so blasé, yeah, you know, MJ bought 10 of your albums and he's giving it to his friends. I was like, my gosh, if this whole dream just kind of like evaporates, this would have been the most amazing thing in my life.
If you could rewind and give advice to the Craig David who just released Born to Do It, what would you say to him?
Wow, I love that question. It's such a beautiful one because it's a bit like McFly in Back to the Future. As soon as you change or shift something, it kind of changes everything. I would like to actually just observe and watch and actually just give a reassuring hug and say, this is going to be an incredible roller coaster ride. You have no idea where this is going to take you. And then ultimately it would land to me sitting here 24 years later, being able to talk about it. So everything sort of is planned out the way it was always going to be, right?
Back in your hands. You got the whole world in your hands. You got the whole world in your hands. You got the whole.
So 25 years on, you're still releasing music. Your new track is called In Your Hands. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind that.
So I wanted to write a song to give context to a chorus that is well known in people's hearts. So I wanted to take my time with writing a verse, melody and lyric that would empower people and give people the feeling that actually you do have the world in your hands. So, you know, you need to go out and buy that microphone and maybe some equipment, even if you've got the talent, because we need to record this. And I wanted to just transport myself back to the question you asked earlier about what would it be like to go back to my 12-year-old self? And what would you want to change, or what would you do differently? And I look and I say, I wouldn't have changed anything, but I guess that there's the faith that you sometimes can lose at certain points where you're getting tested along the way. And then it's like coming back full circle when you get that moment of, oh, actually, you always had it in your hands. So it's been metaphorically, it feels like very true in my heart. So I just wanted to land that melody. So
We do know how fame at a young age puts big pressure on people. We recently lost, tragically, Liam Payne, who seemed always to struggle with fame since he became big with One Direction when he was only a teenager, when he was 16. I wondered, given your experience, what advice would you give to the young people, young artists coming up today?
I would truly say that, and we're in a beautiful time of people speaking their truth. I think talking and communication is everything. And for such a long time, especially with men, there'd been such a high male suicide rate because men didn't feel that they could actually talk and share. I think women have always been very empathic, intuitive, and able to share their feelings in a much easier way. Men have always been told to man up and be strong and those, it's just not working anymore. So I'd say that by the virtue of people in a position who've created a platform, share your stories to inspire a younger generation. And for the younger generation, you're going to come against hurdles and you'll be on the crest of the wave on your surfboard and you may come off. But over time, you'd like to think that you get to a sweet spot where you realize that that is the ebb and flow of life. And you don't have to go under. You just say, this is the moment when you go ups and downs. And I think that me sharing my stories has helped in some ways with my book, What's Your Vibe? And also just being able to give people the understanding that there's power in vulnerability.
You have faced your own challenges over the years and you, as you said, spoken about them. You felt publicly bullied by that sketch in Bo Selector that at the time no one seemed to call out, that was basically very unpleasant and racist.
Right.
Tell us about how you dealt with that, because ultimately it led to you leaving the UK, didn't it?
I mean, at the time, it felt like it was the very compounding, and it was something that I'd never really experienced. But when I look back in hindsight at that moment, it was almost something that was, again, a test of how am I going to show up? Is this going to be something that is repressed and it's always like it's never spoken about? Or you speak your truth? In the seed of that moment of actually talking about it and expressing how I felt, as opposed to it being a very emotionally charged thing. I felt like I was in a grounded place when I was able to talk about it, not from an angry, like, this is what you've done to me and this could have been different if you hadn't. It's like, firstly, I need to forgive the situation, forgive you for that feeling, be it that it was conscious or unconscious. That, and secondly, talk about it, because as soon as I communicated it, it felt like it changed everything and I healed myself. And now it becomes wisdom as opposed to something that becomes something that continuously is a self-fulfilling prophecy that you go back to it. I can now talk it and hopefully help someone else who's experienced bullying.
So you spent something like 6 years in Miami, where you were not totally out of the spotlight, but a bit out of the spotlight when it came to your UK fans. You came back to the UK in 2016 with this crazy comeback, really, with your album Following My Intuition. Why was that the right time to come back and reconnect with the UK fans?
For all of the experiences that I had there, I think it was a moment of realizing you can have everything on paper, but you feeling something empty inside of me. I needed to experience that to realize I need to be back home. I need to be closer to my family. I need to be back making music with the people that energize me and ignite that dimly lit candle and give it that explosion into the roaring flame. Also, my TS5 house parties was something that was curated
in
there.
Ibiza.
Yeah, so from Miami then led to Ibiza. So there was such a beautiful moment. I could never have created that if I didn't have the time. Time away is almost like the space between chords. Even though it seems on the outside that you're away, you actually are just giving a bit of pause to then land the chord that you come back to, as opposed to just pressing all the keys and it just being a whole load of noise. You need the time away to actually be in the world, ebb and flow, the up and the down, the left and the right. You need the contrast, because if it's all one thing, inevitably it gets to a point where it's just like, it just sounds like a whole load of noise and mess.
You're known for your incredible live shows. I think that's a real key part to your brand, isn't it? You did Glastonbury, that was really amazing. You recently toured the States, you'll be in the UK in early 25. You're here in Paris now for a gig at the Bataclan. Tell us about your connection with Paris.
When I released the first album, Born to Do It, it was like nearly every other week I was here in Paris. I just felt always a welcoming, an embrace, a hug. When I came here, it felt a home away from home. I think also having a song called Rendezvous on my first album was like, yeah, I got the memo. The second biggest market for me as a musician as well. Yeah, so to come here with new music and to perform at the Bataclan, I'm just really grateful. I'm really grateful for the support and love. It's great.
What's your next chapter look like then?
So the next chapter genuinely is more of this. Feeling like you can speak your truth. You're not trying to be a chameleon in different situations. If I could leave anything in this world, it would be the legacy that I left it in a better place than how it was when I came in, and that I connected people in a myriad of ways, through music, through speaking about my vulnerabilities, through connecting communication, because I feel that the world needs it more than ever, and I'm just up for that in my life. That's why this has been a pleasure, because you telling me about like Boost bars and Cadbury's bars, wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
Oh, we chilled on Sunday.